21 minutes after my phone. So I'm going to babble on for a good 20 minutes. I'm going to end this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Once I'm picking up peaceful after this. I'll say this. Okay. Xanus, last hope for Xanus is so good that all the execs and CEOs in Hollywood, right? All the powerful execs and CEOs in Hollywood, they will what? They will be what? They will be shocked by my story. There is a good chance, right? There is a good chance some of them, right, might what? Might even call me up and what? And try and buy the rights, man. That's all. That's a good my book. Buy the rights of my book. The rights of my what? My book. That's how good Xanus is, man. I keep saying that. Last Over Xanus is so good that all the execs and CEOs in Hollywood, they will be shocked with my story once they read my book, obviously. As there is a good chance some of them might even call me up and try and buy the rights of my book. There's a good chance when me and my wife start Sky Source, there's a good chance some CEOs and execs in Hollywood might even call me up and be like, hey, Ivan, man, I read your book. It's such an amazing story. Are you considering selling your rights for your movie? We really want to turn your book into what? Selling your rights for your book. We really want to turn your book into a franchise. Some of them will even throw me like a lot of money, but even then I'm not going to sell my rights of my book. Some of them, what? Some of them will even what? Throw me a lot of what? A lot of big, lucrative, right? Lucrative offers for the what? For the rights, my book. But what? But as I've said before, I don't want anyone touching my Last Over Xanus story. My Last Over Xanus story. I'm not saying it's guaranteed they're gonna call me. They might not call me. I don't know, but I guarantee you. I can't predict the future, but I guarantee you when I meet my wife in Los Angeles, I meet my wife in Los Angeles and I got my checks, my multi-billion-dollar checks, obviously, and I sell in Vancouver. There's a good chance the Hollywood execs and CEOs, they're going to be so shocked with my story, as there's a good chance some of them. It's not guaranteed they're going to call me. They might not call me. I don't know. I can't predict the future, but there's a good chance some of them might even call me up and try and buy the rights off my book. That's how good my Last Hope for Xanus story is. Some of them will even throw me a lot of money. When I mean, they'll even throw me a lot of big lucrative offers for my rights of my book, because they know if they adapt my book to the big screen, they're gonna make their billions. If Hollywood purchased the rights off my book, and they adapt it to the big screen, even if I'm not the main character of my movie and there's different actors, the movie would most likely beat the record. The adaptation would most likely beat the record of Avengers because it's an adaptation of Ivan's book. It's an adaptation of Ivan's book. That's how good Xanus is. That some of them might even throw me a lot of money. When I mean lucrative offers, some of them might even offer me $1 billion, $1.5 billion. Hey, Ivan, will pay you $800 million, $1 billion for the rights of your book. And even then, I'm not going to sell the rights of my book, because I don't want anyone touching my Last Over Xanus story. At the same time, I'll make more money producing it myself and funding my own movie. As me and my wife are going to make a good $4 billion off the movie and posters. Because I'm not going to let them do it like that, obviously. At the same time, I care about my art. I'm going to say this. I care about my art, man. As I am not just about the money. The money's good, but I care about my art too. I care about my art as I am not as what? As I'm not just about the money, man. Right? Because the last thing you want to do is sell your rights to a Hollywood company. They adapt your movie to the big screen. They put $300 million towards the series. Air-attached a PG, CG, I don't know, the movie's PG-13. Air-attached a CG, PG Wolf, a PG-13 Wolf. The world's too computery, too much CG. The wars, they build cheap sets, rely heavily on blue screen, green screen. You know what I'm saying? For the war, they have a couple hundred actors and they rely on their CGI effects. Hence, the movie will not be as good and hence it'll flop, obviously. Hence why I don't want anyone touching my Last of Us Zane story. I'm gonna keep saying that. So Last of Us Zane is so good that all the execs and CEOs in Hollywood, they will be shocked with my story, obviously. As there's a good chance some of them might even call me up and try and buy the rest of my book. They're gonna offer me a lot, like hundreds of millions, even $1 billion. If they call me up. It's not guaranteed they're gonna call me up. They might not call me up. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But if they call me up, there's a good chance they might call me up. If they call me up, there's a good chance some of them might even call me up and try and buy the rest of my book. That's how good my Last of Us Zane story is. Some of them will even throw me a lot of big lucrative offers for the rights of my book because they know if they adapt my book to the big screen, it's most likely going to beat the record for movies because it's an adaptation of Ivan's book, obviously. And it's also the best story ever told. So even if I'm not the lead of the movie and they have all these other different characters, you have this another man as Tactius, the movie will still do $1 billion to $2 billion because it's an adaptation based off Ivan's book, obviously. Hence why if they call me up, they're going to throw me a lot of lucrative offers, which I'm going to reject, obviously. As I can easily fund it myself and I'll make more money. What? Executive producing the movie myself and acting in the movie, I'll make more money than the money that they're gonna pay me for what to purchase the rest of my book, obviously. So that's how good Zane is. Some of them will even throw me a lot of big lucrative offers for the rights of my book. But as I said before, I don't want anyone touching my Last of Us Zane, so I'm gonna keep saying that. I care about my art as I am not just about the money. I'm gonna keep saying this. I don't want anyone touching my Last of Us Zane stories. I don't want them ruining my movie. Last of Us Zane is such a unique story. I don't want anyone touching my Last of Us Zane story because it is such a unique story. Obviously, I don't want anyone touching it. As I care about my art, as I am not just about the money, man. The money's nice. It's nice for me to make $4 billion of my posters and my movies, my 4K Blu-ray sold on Amazon. But at the same time, I also want to make an amazing story. I want to tell an amazing stories. I don't want anyone ruining my movie. I don't want anyone ruining my Last of Us Zane story. That's why I'm not selling my rights. If Hollywood companies don't call me, I'm not selling my rights to my book, as I don't want anyone touching my Last of Us Zane story. I'm gonna keep saying that. I have about what? 13 minutes left of my phone around there? Yeah, 13 minutes left of my phone. And this video soon here. Right? To end this off, I'll talk about the directors, okay? I'm gonna say this. There is a 40% chance, I'll say 40% chance. There's a 60% chance I'll direct my own, but if I do hire a director, there's a 40% chance I will what? I will hire a director to direct my movie. The two candidates, the two choices, I'll say, are what? Mel Gibson, because he did Passion of the Christ, honestly. So he's also good for Zane's movie. He did Passion of the Christ, so he's good for directing, and he also did Braveheart. And what? Peter Jackson, obviously. Those are my two choices if I hire a director. 40% chance I'll hire a director, and a 60% chance I'll direct on my own. There's a good chance I'm going to direct it myself because I don't want anyone to ruin my story. But if I were to hire a director, these are my two choices. It's Mel Gibson, he directed Passion of Christ and wrote it, and Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings, obviously. Right. If I hired them, I would have them co-write it with me. That way they know what. They have an idea of what my story is about. Last thing I want to do is write a script and have them like, no. I believe a director should write his own movie. That way he knows what the movie's about, obviously. If I hired them, I would have them co-write it with me. Co-write the script, the Last Hope for Xanus, script with me. With me and my two script developers. And my two script developers. Right. I would give them 50% creative control. So I have 50% control, you have 50%. I don't want to ruin my story. I would give them 50% creative control. Because I don't want anyone ruining my story, man. Hence why there's a good chance I'm just directing myself. I don't want anyone ruining my story. My unique story. My unique story. I'm gonna keep saying that, man. Right. So there's a 40% chance I'll hire a director to direct my movie. But if I were to hire a director, these would be my two choices. Either Mel Gibson, he did Passion of the Christ, or Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings, obviously. If I hired them, I would have them co-write the Last of Us script with me and my two script developers. And I would give them 50% control. 50% control for what? For what? For the what? For the concept arts, obviously. For the concept arts. So I'll give them 50% control for the concept arts. So I have 50% control, you have 50% control. That way what? That way I make sure they don't ruin my movie, obviously. Like, for example, I want Airtime to be the devil himself. You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure they're of the same opinion as you, obviously. There's a good 60% chance I'm going to direct myself. I don't want anyone touching my story. But to take the stress off me, you can hire a director to direct your movie. As long as you write a good script, you should get a good movie. So as long as the director co-writes it with me, my two script developers, and he knows what my movie's about, he knows my vision, and he's a good director, you should get a good movie. That way it takes the stress off me and I can just focus on my acting. But there's a 60% chance I'm gonna what? There's a 60% chance I will what? I will direct it myself. Myself, because I don't want anyone ruining my story. Ruining my story. I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't want anyone ruining my story. Hence why what? There's a 60% chance I'm just directing myself, man. And I'll hire an assistant director to help me, and I'll have my two script developers help me too. So there's a 40% chance I'll hire a director to direct my movie. The two choices are Mel Gibson, he directed Passion of Christ and wrote it, and Peter Jackson, who wrote and also directed Lord of the Rings. If I hired them, one of these guys, I would have them co-write the Last of Us script with me and my two script developers, and I would give them 50% creative control for the concept arts, as I don't want anyone ruining my Last of Us story. But there's a 60% chance I'll direct it myself, because I don't want anyone ruining my story. I'm gonna keep saying that. Right. So Ivan, there's a good chance people are like, Ivan, why don't you can hire a director? Yeah, I can hire a director, but I'm scared. I'm scared of what? I'm scared of them ruining my story, man. Hence why I'm just gonna take the reins and direct it myself. There's a 40% chance I'll hire a director, and 60% I'll direct it myself, obviously. Right? Let me keep saying this. I'm scared. Right? I'm scared of what? Of one of these two directors touching my story. Right? Touching my story. Hence why what? Hence why there is what? There is a 60% chance I will what? Direct Last Hope for xanus myself. Because I don't want anyone, what I don't want anyone ruining my story. See what I'm saying here? So I'm scared of one of these two directors touching my story. Hence why there is a 60% chance I'll direct Zane's myself. And I'll also hire an assistant director who helped Peter Jackson. I can hire an assistant director who helped Peter Jackson, and he can help me. And I also have my 2 script developers helping me. So if John Favreau and David Filoni are hired, they will be helping me with the directing process, obviously, with the extras and all that stuff. I need help, obviously. Hence why you hire an assistant director to help you, obviously. And I don't want anyone ruining my story. Hence why there's 60% chance of a direct. Yeah, it's more work, but the hard work. If I directed myself and the movie ends up being amazing and it's exactly how I pictured it, the hard work pays off. Starring as a lead and acting in a movie is a lot of work. Starring as lead acting in a movie and directing as well directing is a lot of work. But if the hard work pays off, it's worth it. Obviously, as the last thing I want to happen is be lazy. I hire a director, he co-writes it with me, and I give him creative control. He directs my movie, and all of a sudden the movie isn't what you envisioned when you brought it to life on the big screen. And all of a sudden you regret, oh man, I wish I directed this movie myself. Hence why what? I'm scared of these 2 directors touching my story. Hence why there's a good chance I'll direct Zane's myself, as I don't want anyone ruining my story. No, I'm not taking away from those directors. Those directors are amazing. They're one of the best. But because they didn't write my story, they don't know what's best for my story, obviously. Right? But I told you, there's a 40% chance I'll hire the director to take the stress off me. But if I hired one of those 2 directors, I would have them co-write it with me. That way, what? That way they know. That way we have the same vision for what we want our movie for what we want our movie to be like, obviously. So as long as we have the same vision, you should get a good movie. But even then, if you give him creative control and he touches your story, and all of a sudden you adapt it to basically it's not what you envisioned, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden you have regrets. Oh my god, I wish I directed this movie myself. The last thing I want to happen is have someone touch my story and they end up ruining my story. Obviously. Again, if I hired Mel Gibson or Peter Jackson, I would what? I would be willing to pay them $25 million, which is a lot of money, obviously. As well, what? $250,000 what? Royalty check. For all the re-releases, obviously. Which is a nice fucking deal, obviously. So there's a good chance I'm going to end up releasing Xanus in special edition, because Xanus, you're probably looking at a 15 hour movie. I'm going to tell them to condense it down to 12 hours. There's a good chance I'm going to be releasing special edition, as well as I'm going to be releasing a newer Blu-ray technology. As 8K Blu-ray should be coming out in like 10 years from now. So if I hire Bill Gibson or Peter Jackson, I'll be willing to pay them a nice $25 million, which is nice, and a $250,000 royalty check for all of the re-releases of what? Of the last Hope for Xanus movie. Which is a nice fucking royalty check. $250,000 is a nice royalty. After taxes and the rates, it's like $100,000 in your bank. That's a nice paycheck for a re-release. It's a nice check in the bank for a re-release. As all my directors who direct my movies, they also get a $200,000 royalty check. So the director for the Organization movie, They're Unique, the Hidden Vampire Arm movie, the Western Guys movie, I pay them their flat salary, obviously. And I also give them a $250,000 royalty check for all the releases of all the movies that they directed, obviously. So I'm willing to pay Peter Jackson or Bill Gibson a nice $25 million and a $250,000 royalty check for all the releases for the Last of Us movie. So Last of Us gets released in 8K. They get a $200,000 royalty check. The Last of Us gets released in special edition. They get a $250,000 royalty check, which is nice, obviously. Right. I have 2 minutes on my phone. I'm going to end the video here. Right? I'll end off with this. Hence why no story will top Xanus. It is an unbeatable story. I'm going to keep saying that. Unbeatable story. Right? Alright. So I have about 2 minutes on my phone. I'm going to end the video here. Right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to make my Phase 6 announcement. I got my check. I'm going to hire a company to format my book for me. Format my book for me on ebook. And once it's formatted on ebook, all I have to do is convert that to my print tablet on Lulu. And I got to release my ebook for purchase on Lulu. And I'll celebrate for 2 months, enjoy myself. I'll enjoy my last 2 checks, enjoy myself. My wife will be joining for joy. Then once I make that final announcement, I find out how it works, I'm going to cry my eyes. I'll pay this fee. I'll save my wife. And then once I'm a multi-billionaire, my wife's coming with me. You world will be left behind, and bam, my gods, I'm not making any bills for you. Right? I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Obviously. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be what? Which will be my Phase 6. I'm going to show you my map. I'm also going to show you my formatting for my ebook. Because the company's going to format my book for me on ebook. I'm going to show you that on my laptop. This is Ivan Amer. I'm signing out. Peace.